Hello everybody. Today in this new session, we are going to discuss about the circadian rhythm, which is also known as body clock. So circadian rhythm is also known as body clock. Now, what is the definition of circadian rhythm? That we need to know first. So circadian rhythm is an endogenously driven circadian rhythm is an endogenously driven, or within the bracket we can say non-reliant on environmental cues, non-reliant on environmental cues, roughly, which is roughly 24-hour cycle in biochemical, roughly 24 hours cycle in biochemical, physiological and behavioral process. Biochemical, physiological and behavioral process. So again, circadian rhythm is known as body clock, and it can be defined as it is an endogenously driven or non-reliant on, which is basically non-reliant on environmental cues, roughly 24-hour cycle in biochemical, physiological and behavioral process. Rhythm is generated in suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. So where from the rhythm is basically generated? It is generated from the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. Suprachiasmatic nucleus. Suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is present in the hypothalamus, where from this rhythm is basically generated, and it is generated via the clock gene, also known as biological clock. And the gene that is responsible to generate this circadian rhythm is known as the clock gene. Clock gene. That's why this process is also known as the biological clock or the body clock that we have already said previously. Circadian rhythm changes, or circadian rhythm clock gene is of two types. This clock gene is of two types mainly. One is the two proteins called as block clock and the BMAL1. Here in one segment there is proteins. Proteins are what? That are the clock and the BMAL1. Okay, and this clock gene is present in intracellularly or inside the cell. So inside the cell this clock gene is present, or outside the cell this BMAL1 gene is present, by which this circadian rhythm is basically regulated. Okay, and other half are the activated period and cryptochrome genes. Rather, you can say the cryptochrome gene is enough at your level to remember this thing. Cryptochrome gene. So one half of these clock genes are made by the two proteins. These are the clock and BMAL1. Clock gene is present inside the cell and BMAL1 is present outside the cell. And one half is the cryptochrome gene. And brightness detector nerve cells are also there in the retina, which resets this clock gene daily. This phenomenon is called the circadian locomotor output cycle caput. So again, you have to recapitulate this thing. Circadian locomotor output cycle, locomotor output cycle caput is what? This is a term. Circadian locomotor output cycle caput means what? Means that brightness detector nerve cells in retina resets this clock gene daily. This phenomena is known as the circadian locomotor output cycle caput. Again, brightness detector nerve cells in retina, that means the nerve cells that are present in the retina, it can detect the brightness, and it is basically reset the clock genes in regular basis. So this phenomena is together known as the circadian locomotor output cycle caput. Now, what is the physiological basis of circadian rhythm? That we need to know. So next slide, we will discuss about the physiological basis of this circadian rhythm. Physiological basis of circadian rhythm. So what is the physiological basis of circadian rhythm? Main hormone is the melatonin. So hormone melatonin takes part in maintenance of circadian rhythm, but this sleep-wake cycle or day-night cycle, which can be divided in 16 to 18 hours wake hours and 6 to 8 hours of sleep hours, this cycle starts after the sunset in the evening, typically at the 6 p.m. daily, which is known as the dim light melatonin onset. So this circadian rhythm is basically start with the dim light melatonin onset, typically at the 6 p.m. hour regularly. And hormone melatonin takes part in maintenance of this circadian rhythm. So how this sleep-wake cycle is actually regulating by the melatonin, production of melatonin will occur first, then this melatonin will work in the intracellular level. Therefore, the circadian rhythm or the genes that are responsible for this regulation of circadian rhythm is generated, and finally, whole process will be maintained. So in the evening first, in the evening, there will be dim light melatonin onset, which is known as dim light melatonin onset. So in a MCQ, if question will ask which hormone is basically responsible to regulate this circadian rhythm, one answer should be the melatonin. So at that 6 p.m. regularly, dim light melatonin onset will start. Then at this time, light will goes into the retina, and there are 10 layers of retina. All we know, through all this layer, it activates melanopsin pigment. It activates first which pigment? Not rods and cones. It activates the melanopsin pigment. Melanopsin pigment will be activated first. And this light reaction will travel through the retinohypothalamic pathways. So that means through the 10 layers of retina, it will pass to the optic nerve, and via the optic nerve, it eventually passes to the optic chiasma, optic tract, and the lateral geniculate body. From there, it will enter into the hypothalamus via the collateral branches, which is known as the retinohypothalamic pathway. So here the pathway is known as the retinohypothalamic pathway. Okay. Now, next, what will happen? It will first activate which part of the hypothalamus? As we have already said, it will first activate the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus suprachiasmatic nucleus will be activated by this retinohypothalamic tract. Okay. So this retinohypothalamic tract will be activated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. Then it will traverse to the postganglionic sympathetic nerve fiber, and it will release which neurotransmitter or hormone? This is the norepinephrine. So norepinephrine will eventually be released from the postganglionic nerve fiber, and this norepinephrine will act on which receptor? It acts on the beta 3 adrenergic receptor, which are present in the pineal gland, and pineal gland is made up of several pinealocyte cells. So beta 3 adrenergic receptor is basically present over the pinealocyte. pinealocyte cell. So over the cell membrane, this receptor is present, and it is basically a G protein coupled receptor and has action similar with the G stimulatory alpha. So therefore, what will happen? There will be increase in adenyl cyclase that will lead to increase in the cyclic AMP, and this cyclic AMP eventually will do what? It will phosphorylate protein kinase A, and this phosphorylation of the protein kinase A will do what? It will ultimately phosphorylate aryl alkylamine in acetyltransferase. So this protein kinase A phosphorylation will lead to phosphorylation or activation of the aryl alkylamine in acetyltransferase enzyme. In short, we can write it aryl alkylamine N acetyl transferase activation will occur. Now, it will do what? It will convert serotonin to the N-acetyl serotonin. So, serotonin, which is also known as 5-hydroxytryptamine, will be converted to the N-acetyl serotonin. N-acetyl serotonin. So, which is known as NAS. Now, where from this serotonin will come? Its precursor is tryptophan. Just you have to remember this thing. Tryptophan is the precursor of this serotonin. Now, after formation of this N-acetyl serotonin, it will converted into melatonin, which is the key regulatory step, melatonin. Now, which enzyme takes part in this action? It is hydroxyindole O-methyl transferase. Hydroxyindole O-methyl transferase. Hydroxyindole O-methyl transferase, or we can say HOMT. Then this melatonin will work how? That we need to know. It will eventually come into the circulation or in the bloodstream, and melatonin acts on the suprachiasmatic cell of the hypothalamus. So melatonin, after releasing into the bloodstream, it will activate or it will act on the suprachiasmatic nucleus of hypothalamus. Now, suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus will have two types of cell on its cell surface. One is the melatonin receptor 1, MT1 receptor, and MT2 receptor. Now, this melatonin 1 receptor and melatonin 2 receptor both are the G protein coupled receptor, but this melatonin 1 receptor has action similar with the G alpha inhibitory, whereas melatonin 2 receptor will have action similar with the GQ. That we need to know. Now, after that, what events will occur? After that, if it is a G alpha inhibitory type receptor, it will do what? It will decrease concentration of the cyclic AMP, and this cyclic AMP concentration will lead to two type of action. One, it will help to synthesis in the clock protein. So there will be increased synthesis of the clock gene or clock protein, whatever you can say. Okay. And in other half, it will decrease calcium ion influx. So calcium ion influx will be reduced. Okay. And this together will help to onset of sleep cycle. So onset of sleep cycle will occur when this melatonin will work on the MT1 receptor, and eventually it will decrease intracellular cyclic AMP concentration, and that will lead to increased synthesis of the clock protein and also decrease calcium ion influx. Together, this help to onset of sleep cycle. On the other hand, this sleep cycle, after activation of this sleep cycle, what will happen? The sleep will start there will be two types of sleep stages. One is the non-REM sleep, non-rapid eye movement, and one is the rapid eye movement sleep. So this rapid eye, non-REM sleep and REM sleep will together 4 to 6 cycle per night will occur. And finally, after this 4 to 6 cycle will over, 4 to 6 cycles will over, they will start doing what? They will start activating the MT2 receptor. And this at day hours particularly, or during the sunrise, this GQ mediated action will lead to their increase in the intrus IP3 concentration, inositol triphosphate concentration, and also there will be phosphorylation of the protein kinase C. And together, these two things will do what? Together, they will first deactivate the clock protein or clock gene and increase in the calcium ion concentration. So deactivate the clock gene, and one other way, it will do what? It will increase calcium ion concentration. There will be increased intracellular calcium influx. Okay, and together these two will ultimately start awake cycle. Okay, so this is the thing. And what is the fate of this melatonin? Melatonin eventually metabolized in liver via the hydroxylation and conjugation. So this melatonin, after completion of this sleep-wake cycle, it will pass through the liver. So melatonin will pass through the liver, where it will go through the hydroxylation and conjugation process, and together these two processes will eventually help to excrete more than 90% of the melatonin into the urine. So that's how this melatonin will be come out from our body. Excretion. So this is all about our physiological basis of circadian rhythm. Now, neurochemical factors for circadian rhythm or genesis of sleep-wake cycle, we need to know. There are several neurotransmitters that are released from the different parts of the brain, which actually help to generate sleep-wake cycle or or circadian rhythm, that we need to talk. So, genesis of sleep-wake cycle. Genesis of sleep-wake cycle. First is the brainstem nuclei that are parts of the reticular activating system will be activated. So brainstem reticular activating system will be activated first. It will be activated first. Then what happens? If there will be increase in the norepinephrine concentration, or increase in the serotonin concentration, and also if there is decrease in the acetylcholine concentration, that will lead to awake cycle. Okay. Whereas if there will be decrease in the norepinephrine concentration, decrease in the 5-hydroxytryptamine or serotonin concentration, as well as increase in the acetylcholine concentration, that will lead to first REM sleep. So REM sleep will be generated due to this activation of the acetylcholine and deactivation of the norepinephrine or 5-hydroxytryptamine. And in between these two, there will be non-REM sleep. Okay. Now, how this non-REM sleep will be activated, that we need to know. So here from we have to start at the lower end. Hypothalamus with circadian and homeostatic center. So hypothalamus circadian rhythm and the homeostatic center. Homeostatic center. And if it will increase in the GABA, if there will be increase in the GABA from this center, or there will be increased release of GABA from this center and decrease in the histamine concentration, okay, that will lead to decreased activation of the thalamus and cerebral cortex. Or we can say, if there will be increased GABA and decreased histamine concentration from the hypothalamus, circadian rhythm and homeostatic center, it will do what? It will deactivate the thalamocortical loop. Thalamocortical loop, and that will lead to generation of the non-REM sleep. So non-REM sleep basically generate when there will be deactivation of the thalamocortical loop, whereas from the hypothalamus circadian rhythm and homeostatic center, if there will be decrease in the GABA concentration and increase in the histamine concentration will occur, that will lead to activation of the thalamocortical loop, and that will also help to activation of the awakening cycle. So awakeness again will occur. So by this vice versa relationship, this REM, non-REM sleep and the awakening cycle will continue. Now, one important thing that we need to know, from where several MCQs will come in future, that are the norepinephrine will release from which areas? It will release from the locus ceruleus in the pons. Okay, 5-hydroxytryptamine or the serotonin will be released from where? It will release from the raphe magnus nucleus in medulla, not in the pons. And the acetylcholine will be released from where? It will release from the nucleus basalis of Marnet, which is present in the basal forebrain zone. So these are all about our circadian rhythm and the physiological basis of circadian rhythm and genesis of sleep. Hope you will enjoy this video. Thank you.